Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, the game, is an action-adventure beat-em-up which somehow feels like a retro shooter mixed with an immersive sim. It's difficult to articulate just how alien and unusual this game is, from game mechanics to design principles to storytelling, and by that very nature, it's one of the worst and best licensed games I've ever played. Fundamentally, it's a slash-em-up, blast-em-up romp where you trot from level to level clearing objectives, but that description does no justice to its absolute delirium. Let's start with the straightforward positives, at least. This is a gorgeous looking game, especially for the time period, with a high variety in quality textures, spectacular visual effects, and dynamic lighting. My blue lightsaber turns the environment blue around me, and that's cool. There's also an assortment of weapon types and countless secret alcoves, ensuring there are multiple solutions to every problem. You're never forced into no-win scenarios because you have just so many options at your disposal. This is bolstered by naturalistic AI, which can retreat and flank and enact simple strategy, encouraging you to plan out your own approach. But that's all the sanity I can spare for this game, because it's a circus of baffling design choices which punish you severely for relying on natural human instinct or curiosity, and it creates a confounding atmosphere. As implied previously, the game features immersive sim elements which attempt to add a layer of realism, but accomplish the stark opposite. There are nearly countless NPCs in this game, almost all of which have dialogue or dialogue trees presenting side quests or moral choices or just flavor. Yes, even though it's a linear action game. The dialogue itself is demented, stream of consciousness stuff which loops back on itself, contradicts itself regularly, and feels entirely out of character for every involved party. Much like the combat, there are a variety of dynamic ways to engage with all these NPCs, up to and including murder. Yes, you can absolutely slaughter nearly every NPC you come across, including the children and plot important persons. They'll be just as eager to assault and antagonize you as well, leading to an atmosphere of demented despair and violence. It feels like an accidental precursor to Postal. You can open fire with your heavy weaponry on an entire town and churn out a mountain of corpses. But at least that'll stop the NPCs from barking in your ear with surreal banter and baffling requests. It's always impossible to guess what the next person is going to say, what they'll want from you, or even all the ways it's possible to respond. And that's true for the game as a whole, really. Even removing NPCs from the equation, the play-by-play action is downright delirious. The gameplay oscillates rapidly between blasting, brain-dead, oversimple puzzles, platforming, and insane RPG elements. Sometimes it asks you to juggle all three simultaneously. There are no overarching design principles, so if you go in trying to apply reasoning or patterned thought, you'll get obliterated. You really gotta think outside the box for some of this, but don't think too much outside the box, because if you try to apply careful, sympathetic curiosity, the game will still assault you brutally for no reason. This is a thrill ride which dares not to ask why, but instead why not, and so it includes as many absurd details and mechanics as feasible. So yeah, it's kind of hard to say this game has, gameplay. The Phantom Menace is a game defined by its catty, sadistic playfulness. It rewards careful and intimate exploration, except when it doesn't. It punishes mindless button mashing, except when it doesn't. You can't guess what it wants, why it wants it, or how this is even an officially licensed Star Wars product. Every time I rewatch the Episode 1 film, I get closer to believing it's a nearly immaculate masterwork. It's deeply confrontational, but I think that gives it its power and purpose. This tie-in game is also very confrontational, because it makes me feel like I'm trapped in an interrogation room being subject to grisly government-issued gaslighting for hours on end, leaving me in a dazed and hopeless state. It's good stuff.